Hi everybody, happy Saturday. It is, what time is it? A little bit after 7, so Saturday evening where I'm at. And I am going to be reading a blog from September of 2018, which is entitled Grieving into New Life. And the synopsis is letting go to pass from old to new. Being transformed is hard work. Being open to thinking differently than you've always thought before. Being willing to change. Being humble enough to face the parts of yourself that have caused you to be miserable. As that hard work starts to lead the way towards change, and you see a newer version of yourself emerge, it's a welcomed sight. But what do you do with the old you? Who are you without your old ways and old thoughts? There is a crisis of identity when you're in the middle of transforming from old to new. As welcome as the new self is, there is also a sadness attached to losing the old self. The old self has been your constant companion for years. It's your safe place, your comfort zone. It's what you know. Everything outside of that is unknown territory, undiscovered land. This new self feels lighter and freer, less miserable and unbound, but it's new, and new is different. It sits differently on your skin and feels differently as you move. It's a little stiff because you haven't broken it in yet. It still has that fresh, newly laundered smell to it. Unlike your old self, which you wear like an old favorite sweatshirt, it's worn and loose in all the right places. It hugs you where you need to be held and hides you where you need to be sheltered. It smells familiar, like tender memories and dried tears. It's easy to try and go back to that old, reliable self because it's seen you through so many good times and even more bad times. But once you've worn your new self for any significant amount of time, going back to your old self just doesn't feel comfortable anymore. It hangs funny. It has holes you never noticed. It smells of stale excuses and musty mistakes. It's time to set the old self to the side, to make room for the new self, to accept the change that's come and let go of the old. And it feels like a death. And it feels like it does because it is. There is a grieving to be had as you watch the old ways slip away, breathing their last. It's okay to be sad, to grieve this passing. Your old self has been with you every step of your life, but it's okay to let go. When you choose to let go, you open up your hands to receive all that the new change is bringing with it. Even as the tears are still falling, you start to feel that fresh new wind blow across your face, and it feels like new life. New light, new truth, new grace, new courage. Say goodbye to the you that was, and welcome your new self with open arms and an open heart. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. So that's my blog for today. Another short one. But this is definitely, I think I said this at the end of yesterday's video when I was talking about what I was going to record for today and what I was going to read for today. This is something that I was not prepared for when I started recovery and when I started therapy, because I just thought that I was going to change, or at least I hoped that I would change, and that the changes would all be good, and so I would be good and everything would be great. But I was not aware that in the process of changing that you have to let go of old thought patterns and behaviors, and or I guess I knew that you had to let go of those, but the process of letting go of them, I did not realize that that was going to feel like grief. And So it was surprising to me to have to go through that. And it makes sense now that I've been through it. So, you know, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, well, duh. But that was not my experience. So, and I will say that there are still things, you know, that I feel like I have to grieve as I let go of them. Um, there's not as many things now. I think there were so many, it was just like a complete overhaul on my mind and my heart and my body when I first started recovery, that there was a lot of things being let go of. And I was, you know, literally becoming a new person. And it's hard to, you know, it's hard to keep up with all of that. And so now, you know, while there are still changes happening, as they're not as big. So they might be big in the sense that they're deeper, but it's not like a complete overhaul every single day, which is how I felt in the beginning, because everything was new, everything was different. And so now it's more like, you know, tweaking. And so that is pretty much what I had to share for today. And the encouragement that I feel like maybe someone needs to hear is, if you're in this situation of grieving into new life, and not necessarily like, you know, grieving because you've lost someone outside of yourself, but grieving the old you into, you know, accepting the new you. That just like, you know, when we're grieving anything else, it doesn't last forever. And I think it's important to recognize it as grief. And like I've said in several of my videos, being able to validate what we feel goes a long way towards healing. That's probably also not a new thought, but I think we do need to be reminded of that, because at least for myself, I get into these things where I'm telling myself, well, I shouldn't feel this way, or I should just be able to get over this, or I should be able to fix this, or, you know, whatever the situation is. And, you know, sometimes you just can't get over something in that moment. Or you know, you just feel what you feel because you feel it. There's no right or wrong to that. But then how you respond to those feelings is where we can sometimes get a little bit mixed up. But definitely, you know, validating what we feel, to be able to say, you know, I feel sad about this. And I know I for sure had to go through this as far as the food that I was letting go of. So I don't know if that is encouraging to anyone who might be in that same situation. But when we look to tangible things to be our, or even people, to be our source of comfort instead of turning to God, when we have to let go of those things that have been so close to us. And for me, it was, and I remember when I wrote this blog, it was driven off of my husband, Jason, had gone to the store, and for some random reason, I remember thinking that he's never going to be able to buy me anything at the store, as like, oh, I got you a little treat, because he would always get me, you know, ice cream or, you know, whatever. And so I remember thinking, because I knew that those things were trigger foods for me that triggered my binges. So I had let go of, you know, all sweets, ice cream, cookies, you know, all the things, desserts. And so for some reason, that one night when he had gone to the store, I just remember thinking, he's never going to be able to buy me a treat again. And it was the saddest thing at that time. which really seems superficial, but those behavior patterns that we get into and those, ruts that we allow ourselves to, drive in, they're hard to break free from. And those are, just things that are comforting to us. And it's, it's just really hard to let go of those things. And so they're going to be sad. And, it might not be the same thing for you, for whatever you're going through, but I just share that as, like, even the things that, might seem silly to other people, or, might not be meaningful to other people, if they mean something to you, then that's what it is. It doesn't have to mean anything to anybody else. And you can feel sad for whatever you need to feel sad for. And then, we just don't stay in that place. We don't live in that place. So that's pretty much what I have for tonight with this blog. And hopefully it's been encouraging or helpful to anybody who is in that same situation or something similar. Tomorrow I'm pretty sure I'm gonna jump ahead to May of 2019. So I'm gonna skip over a whole lot of months of these blogs that I'm reading. But there's a blog that I wrote for Mother's Day in, it was from 2019. And so I wanted to share that tomorrow, since tomorrow's Mother's Day. So that is what I'll be doing for that. And I hope everyone has a good rest of their evening. And I will be back tomorrow. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.